Are you casting giant flies to apex predators? Hold on, we've got your rod. Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and welcome back to another one of our product reviews. And today, this is a long time coming, but today we're talking about the BC Big Fly fly rod from Temple Fork Outfitters. And you know, it was a couple years ago, we got to spend some time with Blane Chocklett, the BC part of this rod. And Blane kind of gave us a teaser that this rod was coming, that he was working on it. And we kind of jumped the gun and got the word out there a little too quickly, but it took a little while with COVID and everything, but the BC Big Fly rods are finally here. They've been here for a while, and like I said, it's just a little long overdue, and it took us a little while to get back together with Blane, which we did most recently, and we'll get to shortly. But anyways, the BC Big Fly rods are designed for exactly that. These things are designed for throwing the biggest of big flies. And they're also really designed for throwing sinking lines, which anytime we're fishing for basically pike or muskie, we're almost always fishing sinking lines. In fact, in all of the times that I've fished with Blane, I don't believe I've seen him throw a floating fly line. I'm sure he does, but not for muskie. You know, we got to spend some time again with Blane, and of course we used these rods muskie fishing here, and we'll get to him talking about it here in a little bit. But TFO, in conjunction with Blane, designed these big fly rods as to be the perfect tool to deliver the biggest flies to the meanest of fish. And they use their highest modulus material, and they use their new Axiom technology to redefine performance in an extremely powerful fly rod. But unlike other stiff rods, the BC Big Fly delivers both energy and both the energy necessary for long casts, as well as incredible tracking and recovery, resulting in superior accuracy and distance. Now, I will tell you, I was a big fan of the predecessor that Blane designed called the ESOX. And this is a major, major improvement. These things cast much better, and they cast the sinking lines much better. I think a lot of rods that are designed for fishing big fish don't focus on sinking lines, and that's one of the things that Blane talked about. In fact, let's jump right over to Blane, and he can talk a little bit about the action of this rod.
Hey everybody, it's Blane. Just want to talk to you a little bit today about the BC Big Fly. It's a rod that I helped design with TFO. It's been around now for a little while, but there's some really cool key features about this rod. One of them is TFO's Axiom technology, which incorporates a Kevlar double helix sleeve that goes throughout the rod. And what that does is that helps the rod recover quickly. It allows the rod to load and unload without being deterred, so it doesn't waver, so it recoils better, it absorbs shock better, it allows you to cast bigger flies without the rod breaking down on you. And this also helps when you're fighting big fish for lifting, stuff like that. You can feel the rod load better as well, even though it's a fast action rod. It's also very light in hand, so that in itself makes it perfect for what it was designed to do. Some other key features of this rod is the nickel titanium recoil guides. These are fantastic. They're great for maneuvering around the boat to keep the guides from being broken or damaged or bent. That's a big part of it. Another key feature of this rod is this cork. And this is a composite cork that allows you to put a lot of tension and gripping on this rod over time, and it doesn't break down like regular cork will. Just the actual casting, repetitive casting over and over and over puts a lot of stress on regular cork, and this composite cork does not break down. I haven't had any problem with this over the years. So that's a big advantage to having this in the rod itself. Another thing is having an extended butt and having the foregrip extended, which allows you to grip higher up on the rod, which also allows you to support the rod against your forearm, which is very important in casting big, large flies. Some other cool features is it's got my Game Changer logo built into the reel seat. Really cool Game Changer logo right here where it designates the line size. These rods come in 8, 10, and 12, which is perfect for whether you're fishing for big brown trout, smallmouth bass, muskies in the 10 and 12s, pike, any saltwater fish. I've caught a lot of different saltwater species, jacks, cobia, tarpon, to name a few on this rod. It's been great. It's very versatile, saltwater friendly. So do yourself a favor and go cast one.
The really main feature of this rod is the cork grip. Is the kind of, what do they call it here? The refined cork grip, extended grips. And Blane designed this for particular reasons. And first and foremost, he made it out of a composite cork. Because let me tell you, when you're horking 400, 500 grain sinking lines around and 12, 14, 16-inch flies, you're going to put a lot of wear and tear on the cork of the rod. That's a lot of pressure. And normal everyday cork is just going to wear out over time. So this composite cork does not wear out nearly as quickly as standard cork. So that's a huge plus on this rod. But then the handle is very unique in the fact that it's almost like a two-handed rod. And there's several reasons for that. And first and foremost, this butt section, it's designed to go right up against your forearm like this, okay? Designed to go right against your forearm, and that keeps, basically what that does is it really gives you a lot more stability, and it gives you a lot more power. And that's so, so very important. The other thing is that it's got this extended grip, and that's designed for doing the figure eight, or for, as Blane calls it, stirring the pot. So let's go back to the boat and hear what Blane had to say about the grip on these rods. Can you talk a little bit about the fact you don't figure eight anymore? I think you do something a little different. And can you talk a little bit about what you actually do and how the rod comes into play?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the figure eight works, but I have found the best thing about predatory fish when they're coming in on what we call the figure eight is the key is showing them profile and speeding it up and taking it away from them. So we're putting a lot of pressure on our body all day long casting these big flies, and having this extended handle and this longer foregrip really allows us to be able to do what's called a figure eight more efficiently. But I prefer to do what I call an oval or a big circle. And what's happening at that point is I'll strip the fly into about 20 inches or so from the rod tip.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, whatever my rod does, the fly reacts to it, right? So the worst thing you could do with a figure eight is have 5 feet of distance between the fly and the rod, because you'll move the rod and the fly's not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the closer that rod tip is to the fly, whatever your action that you do with the rod, the fly follows it. And a lot of times if the fly stops on a pause, no prey item is going to stop and try to, hey, let's talk about this for a second.
No.
You know what I mean? No. So they're going to run for their lives, and that's a huge trigger for the fish to attack and eat it. So when it comes in, if I'm doing a two-hand strip with the rod, with my hand, or just doing a traditional strip, I'll immediately go into the figure eight by knowing that the fly is 20 inches. I'll hold the line, pin it in my hand, and then grab this longer extended butt. And what I'll do is that's what I call stir the pot. And I'm just making these big ovals and these big circles, and I'm constantly watching how that fish reacts to it. And a lot of times they'll eat when it shows profile. So I try to make really big, wide turns instead of really tight, sharp turns, because if you do that, the bait's going to end up, or the fly's going to end up coming back at the fish, and no predator gets attacked.
No.
A prey item is not going to attack a predator. They're going to run from them. So I'd make sure I make big, wide turns, and I'm using the butt to do all this. I'm not using my casting hand. I'm using my non-casting hand to do this. And that takes the pressure off your casting hand. So I'm just pushing against it, just like that. And the wider I can get it, and you have to get in an athletic position, bend your knees, and hunch down, because I'll go deep on the straightaway and I arc out and up on the out, and that's a lot of times when they hit it. And and the reason they do that is because it's showing profile at that time.
I mean, your rod tip's what, 3-4 foot under the water?
Yeah, a lot of times,
Yep.
especially on the straightaways.
Yeah.
I'll go deep and then I arc up on the turn, and that's when they'll launch into it a lot of times. And you're kind of leading that fish into them eating it on that outward turn away from the boat. That way I can cross them up, strip and cross them up and get a hook in them instead of them eating coming at me.
I've also heard you say that that's one of the primary reasons for those guides, like
Yes.
on this rod, because you're banging them up against the gunnel of the boat.
Absolutely. Yeah, the stiffer guides that don't have this nickel titanium recoil, we used to pop them all the time or bend them, and
Yeah.
you can't do that with these, and that's what makes them so great. I love these things.
Another kind of a cool feature is they've got this integrated hook keeper in there. That's something that Blane designed. I think Flip Pallet has a couple on his Axiom 2X. And maybe the Mangrove Coast from TFO. But anyway, you can just slide the hook right up in there, and it saves you having to wrap it around, and keeps that hook right there next to, because a lot of times you're fishing 2, sometimes even 3 hooked, and the flies are that long. So it's kind of tricky to get them hooked into here. You wind up having 2 or 3 extra hooks. So it really is a smart design on that. And then, of course, just kind of a cool feature, it has a Game Changer laser engraved onto the reel seat there, which has kind of become Blane Chocklett's logo. Another thing is these REC recoil, the black curl recoil guides, and that's, as Blane explained, when he's doing the stirring the pot or doing a figure 8, a lot of times you'll whack this rod up against the gunnels of the boat, and that's you're not going to break guides as easily. And then you've got 3 of those, and then you've got the single foot snake guides REC also on these, which are really just excellent guides. They're perfect for sinking lines, and they're very lightweight. For as big and heavy duty as these rods are, they're incredibly lightweight. Basically, the BC Big Fly rods, again, designed by our great friend Blane Chocklett, forecasting the biggest of big flies. There's 3 models. You've got the 8 weight, which is what I have here, and the 8 weight is rated for 250 to 350 grain lines, and that rod weighs 5.2 ounces. Then it also comes in a 9-foot 10 weight, which is rated 350 to 450 grains, and comes in at 5.5 ounces. And then the 12 weight, which is, I believe that's what I was fishing most recently when we were out with Blane. The 12 weight is rated for 450 to 550 grains and weighs 5.8 ounces. They, of course, carry TFO's unconditional lifetime warranty. They come with a rod sack and a rod tube. And of course, you can find them right here at Mad River Outfitters, and I'm sure there's a link down below me. So an exciting rod for exciting fishing, and this is really the perfect tool for throwing the giant flies, as Blane is well known for. It's been a really popular rod. They've been selling very, very well here in the shop, and you won't be disappointed. If you throw big flies, these rods have what it takes. Got some great features here in the handle, and just a great choice for throwing big fish at apex predators. So there you have it, friends, the BC Big Fly rods from TFO. Again, you can find them at madriveroutfitters.com. And as always, we appreciate you being here. We'd also like to thank Blane Chocklett. It's always a pleasure to be with him. He's been a big friend and a big supporter of Mad River Outfitters over the years. And we certainly sell a lot of his stuff, that's for sure. So check out all the Blane Chocklett stuff, the rods, even Blane's flies from Flyman Fishing Company at madriveroutfitters.com. We appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot more content coming your way. And thanks for watching.